Welcome to the Purdue Report with Jake Dunn. Jake and I will be back on Friday with a Purdue USC preview, and then late Saturday or early Sunday with a reaction to Purdue's game against USC on Saturday. And of course, next Wednesday we will have another Purdue Report, and we'll do the whole thing over again. Then during basketball season, we'll have so many Purdue podcasts you won't even be able to keep up. We also have podcasts on IU, Pacers, Colts, Fever, IndyCar, and of course the best high school sports coverage in Central Indiana. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of it.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengel.
Welcome, Boilermaker fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and today's Purdue Report with Jake Dunn. Jake, 2-0. I think that's enough at this point in the development of the program to be pretty excited.
Yeah, I am pretty excited. I think that result gives fans a lot to be excited about. Took care of business, did what we had to do, and now compared to last year, it's kind of just gravy from here. So any other wins or any other upsets, it's just gravy.
And of course, this is the Purdue Report. We're here mostly to talk about Purdue, but I do want to talk a little bit about USC because that's next, and not just that they're the opponent, but this game is going to tell us a lot more, isn't it?
That's going to be Purdue's first real test. Really, really potent offense against a defense that kind of struggled a little bit there in the first quarter against SIU. So going to be an intriguing matchup. Hopefully a lot of points. Actually, maybe hopefully not if Purdue wants a chance to win, but probably going to be a lot of points scored. That should be a fun game to watch and hopefully a close one.
And as much fun as beating Ball State and Southern Illinois is, you have to turn your attention now because the Big Ten is coming up. And Jake, I don't know how much time you've spent watching games other than Purdue games, but the Big Ten looks like it's going to be really strong this year.
I try not to get too caught up in the fact that a lot of these teams are playing teams like Ball State or teams like SIU. When you got teams like USC and you put up a lot of points, Ohio State's put up a lot of points. Been a lot of scoring so far in the league. So yeah, it should be another really strong year for the Big Ten, and excited to see how that goes. And so USC's offense comes in first in total yards and second in scoring nationally. So Purdue's going to have a tough game on their hands trying to contain Jordan Maeva and the USC offense. So it's going to be just a tough game overall for them. Purdue's struggled with, as we saw in SIU, a quarterback who can run and throw, and Jordan can do that, with the best of them. So it's going to be tough keeping them contained and locking down the receivers.
Let's talk a little bit about the keys to not just USC, but to a successful season. And what I think we've seen so far is a pretty darn good offensive line that has helped facilitate some offensive flow early in the year. And if they're able to control the offensive line and they can get Devin McAbee going, there's some hope, right?
Yeah. And
not just for this week, but for the season. If that line can be good, and because we know McAbee can get chunks of yards, maybe they can compete with some of these teams.
And I think that's a really important key to the game. Purdue's O-line physically is a little bit bigger than USC's D-line by about an average of 24 pounds a man. So got a little more beef on the Boiler side, which is always good. And the more that they can feed Maccabee and just keep the clock running, that's the more that you can keep Maeva on the sideline and keep USC's offense at bay. So there is a little bit of familiarity with Barry Odom and Maeva. He was on Barry Odom's UNLV team in 2023, so there is a little bit of intrigue there. He leads the Big Ten in total offense and passing in terms of yards per game. So gotta limit the explosive plays, especially early in the game. Can't be giving USC any sort of momentum right out of the gates. So you got to keep everything in front. Can't afford breakdowns like we saw in the first quarter versus SIU. Talk about the run game. Purdue does have a little bit of a beefier O line than USC by about 24 pounds a man. So the more that they can feed Devin Mockabee, the better. The more that you can kind of burn that time off the clock, that's going to work in Purdue's favor. Maeba on the sideline. So Mockabee leaves the Big Ten and carries 46. I can expect him to be primary offense here against USC.
You point out all these numbers for USC. Let me throw out a great big giant asterisk here. People have talked about Purdue's schedule and the start here really not good. Indiana has gotten a lot of criticism for their schedule, not good. Those two compared to USC so far is like the toughest schedule in the country. It has just been an FCS team and another school that was an FCS team not long ago. As impressive it is, it comes with a caveat that they've played a similar type schedule that Purdue has. Not saying that they're not a great offense. I watched a little of their game knowing that they were playing Purdue next week against Georgia Southern last week, and they have a lot of weapons. But sometimes when you're playing a school that's smaller like that, your athletes are just better than theirs. So we'll see if Purdue can close that gap. And hopefully the skill gap between USC and Purdue is not quite so large. All right, Jake, I hate to ask you this question, but when was the last time Purdue was 3-0?
Last time Purdue was 3-0 was 2007. So I was 6 years old when Purdue was the last time they were 3-0, and the last time that a first-time head coach for Purdue started 3-0. Neither one of us were born yet, so that was 1905.
Wasn't that Albert Herrnstein was the head coach that year?
You're spot on.
Oh, we did some research, didn't we?
Yeah, I did some research. Not a lot has I guess gone Purdue's way since 2007. So I think part of that is a product of playing Notre Dame early in the season. If you play them, unless you upset them, that's not going to be a win. And that, again, they usually play them in the first few games of the year. So always tough having a team like Notre Dame there early in the schedule. Probably prepares you for Big Ten play pretty well, but for 3-0 starts and beyond, not good for the stats.
Check this out, Jake. In 1905, under the famed Albert Herrnstein, the Purdue Boilermakers opened the season with 33-0, 36-0, 12-0, and 29-0 wins before tying Indiana in downtown Indianapolis in week 5. Wow. And then they beat Missouri 24-0 before their only loss of the year. It was at the University of Chicago at Marshall Field in Chicago before beating Notre Dame 32-0. So that has to be the all-time great Purdue football team, right?
Got to be up there for sure.
They gave up 30 points all year.
So hopefully we'll have a kind of a similar stat. Hopefully we can update this stat here after Saturday, and Barry Odom can become the first time head coach at Purdue since 1905. Hopefully he can break that streak, but so long time coming. Hopefully we're due. But if you take a look at West Coast teams, ever since they've joined the Big Ten, have not had a great record in the Eastern and Central times. The travel may come into play here. Josh Henson was the offensive coordinator for Lincoln Riley and UST for the past few years. So obviously there's quite a bit of familiarity there with kind of the offense that Lincoln Riley likes to run, and even the defense too. So I saw that last year with Ryan Walters in Illinois, and Purdue wasn't really expected to do a whole lot in that game, and really should have won that game against Illinois last year. So hopefully we can pull something out and get the win, but not looking like Vegas has a whole lot of confidence in us. Looks like Purdue's a 21.5 point underdog at home, and the over-under currently at 58.5. So
But I
Vegas
think
predictions a lot of points.
I think most of the computers expect them to play, from what I've seen, within 20 points, which surprised me.
So a lot of the computers are saying it's going to be a close game. Hopefully they're right. Hopefully it is a close game. But I mean,
And
after last,
Sagarin, who I trust with their predictions, but more later in the season. The later in the season it gets, the more you trust the Sagarin to kind of get an idea. But it says 15, and if they lose this game by 15 points, I think every Purdue fan should be pretty excited about what's ahead.
hey, saying this about being happy with losing, but after the recent history with Purdue, I'd be okay losing by 15 to a team like USC. There are some bright spots where Purdue can really shine and get it to 15 or keep it closer than 15, and that's in special teams. We may see a lot of punts from Purdue. Luckily for Purdue, they are number one nationally in net punting. So there's an opportunity to kind of flip the field there, and that could be an equalizer here on Saturday. But Ross-Ade may be kind of cursed by California teams. So we for Ryan Walter's debut in 2023, Fresno State pulled off the upset against Purdue, and Purdue is not. Yeah, me too. Purdue has not beaten a California team at home since 1992. That was against Cal. So I remember the 2023 season starting off pretty strong with I believe it was Deion Burks, scoring on first few plays for Purdue. Kind of similar to what Armand Branch did here this year in the opener against Ball State. Kind of similar results. Hopefully Purdue can break that curse and get a win against USC.
The game is at 3:30 on Saturday, but before we get to that, Jake and I will preview the game on Friday. We'll talk more about the matchups, where we think Purdue can win the game, where we think USC has an advantage. We will give our predictions and prognostications and our picks and everything that starts with a P, Jake.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Thanks so much to Jake for joining me. And as I mentioned, he and I will be back again on Friday to preview the Purdue USC game, make our picks and predictions and prognostications and all that stuff. Maybe joined by guests as well. And thank you for listening. Please help us spread the word about the Central Indiana Sports Report by sharing this podcast with a Purdue fan in your life. Thank you so much. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.